There we go. Thanks for reminding me. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So as I was saying, this is our web-based anatomy platform that we are offering through our partners, Online Biology, and it is comprised of several different software applications, primarily focused on anatomy. But as I mentioned, we did just add visible biology as well. So that's a new product, kind of an added bonus. So Human Anatomy Atlas up here. This is our web-based, completely searchable reference of the human body. So people ask me what it is. I say it's kind of like the Google Earth of the human body, a completely searchable body, easy to use. It's built out to the gross level. It has over 6,500 anatomical structures. Visible biology is new. This has a lot of biology content and assets, 3D models, animations. Anatomy and physiology. This is organized more like a course in anatomy and physiology, and it would mirror most textbooks on the market. It has the same kind of pedagogy and organization to marry up to most textbooks on the market. It has 3D models. It has animations showing key physiological processes. Also has built-in quizzes for self-study. Both of the previous apps I mentioned too, these also have built-in quizzes in the form of multiple choice quizzes as well as dissection quizzes. And then we also include Muscle Premium, which focuses more on the musculoskeletal system as well as ligaments, some vasculature and nerves as well. This is really a great product for any students or instructors that are teaching or learning about things like sports medicine, physical therapy, kinesiology, occupational therapy, things like that. And then we have another product called Physiology Animations. And Physiology Animations is basically a library of over 115 animations. So it gives you different ways to access content. And then you may notice at the bottom here, our platform also includes a lot of free resources. So things like ebooks, access to our blogs. Also, we have a Learn site, and this is where you can get lab activities as well. So we provide a lot of content with your subscription. Very easy to use. The products all work on the PC and the Mac, and they also work on mobile devices like iOS and Android. However, I do like to mention visible biology is not available on mobile yet, but the other ones are. So that being said, I'll just kind of dive into some of the content. And if anybody has questions as we go, feel free to stop me or interrupt me. Or if you'd rather wait till the end, you can ask questions at the end, or you can also enter them in chat. But the first product I'll show is our anatomy and physiology software. And this one, again, is organized like a course. And I already have it opened here, but to launch it, you just press launch, and then it would launch into a new tab, and it would look like this. So here we start off in a section that is 4 chapters of cells and tissue. And then you can see the other chapters organized here. I'm going to dive into the muscular section first. Muscle tissue. So here you can see it's organized by 4 chapters. And the first chapter in this section starts off with an animation. And these little icons on the right-hand side represent different asset types. So this one's an animation. This icon represents a 3D model. This icon represents an image or an illustration. And then if you see several little squares stacked, that will represent a series of images. Sometimes they're histology slides, and sometimes they are illustrations or a combination. So let me go down to this chapter. So I think one of the strong points of visible body products is it's really a powerful and robust product for all users who are visual learners. And I think a lot of us are visual learners. You can start a chapter off, and I'm going to click on this one here. It really helps people visualize anatomy in 3D. So this particular asset is a 3D model. And here you get some information about what you're looking at. But then you have some terms down here that will bring you right to key points. So if you click on one of the terms, it'll highlight the structure here in blue, and it'll pivot the model to an optimal view. And you may notice up here, it'll give you the name of the structure. Here you have the Latin term. The book icon will give you a definition. Click on it again and it goes away. The speaker icon will give you a pronunciation.
Pectoralis major.
So it's really nice. So you have a lot of content, easily accessible. You can do the same thing here. Click on the next term, and it highlights again in bright blue the brachial plexus and upper limb. You can click on it again here, and it'll highlight another structure here. So, but as an instructor or as a student, if you want to explore a little bit more, just by using your mouse, you can click and drag and you can move this model. And you can select any structure that's on screen. You can also click down on the space bar and drag your space bar on your keyboard, and you can drag and move the model without rotating it to reposition it within the frame. And then clicking and dragging with your mouse will rotate it on any axis. But it's really nice because it gives you a chance to explore the model and also do things in real time. So if students have questions about other structures, you can go to that. And by using the mouse wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out. You may notice we have other tools here on the side. So you can click on a tool here and you can draw. So if you want to circle an area or draw an arrow, you can do that. If you want to add a note, you have a little note tab here. You double tap here and you can type in whatever you want to put here. You can type in more things here. And this little yellow nub is a call out. So you can click and drag on that and position it onto a specific structure. You can even click on this and reposition if you like, and you'll notice it stays tethered here. You can add multiple notes. You can draw multiple times. So the product gives you a lot of flexibility. And then once you create it, you can download the image or you can share the image. But if you want to get rid of this stuff, you can easily just click it here and turn it off. Click on draw and turn it off, and you're back here. And then as a student learns and you're going through, the nice thing about anatomy and physiology, it gives you as an instructor a linear learning path. So it gives you, everything kind of organized in a way that the students can go to assets. And then once they're done with the asset, once they're done learning or experiencing that, they can just click on the red arrow here and it'll take them to the next asset in that chapter. And this next asset is an animation. And you have the dialogue or the narrative here. So students can read along. But if you're demonstrating this in front of a class, perhaps you could turn it off. And then this animation, I think our animations are great because they're really concise. They're only about 30 to 60 seconds in length. Easy for students to comprehend. And if they do get distracted, they can always play them again. And these really illustrate some key concepts. And certain concepts are really difficult to understand unless you have good visuals. And I think our animators, our medically trained staff does a great job of that. I'll let you check this one out.
The muscular, nervous, and skeletal systems interact to produce movement. Messages travel through the nervous system to the skeletal muscles that attach to bones throughout the body. The striated appearance of skeletal muscles is created by the arrangement of actin and myosin, or myofilaments, inside the cells that form muscle tissue. Motor neurons of the nervous system connect with these skeletal muscles. Movement occurs through a series of steps. Impulses from the nervous system reach the neuromuscular junction. The neuron releases a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. It binds to receptors on the muscle and begins a chemical reaction within its fibers. The muscle filaments slide across each other and the muscle shortens or contracts. This action produces movement.
So then once the student reviews that asset, they can click on the next asset here, which is accessible by this red arrow. So in this case, it's another animation. But since I feel like you've got a good grasp and a good handle on what our animations are like, I'm going to move on to another structure. So here the next asset in this grouping, a couple of animations and then a 3D model. But I thought this one might be of interest to you. And this is a group of images noted by this stack of little squares here. And I'll click on this one. And here you can see an illustration And our illustrations tend to be diagrammatic typically. And here you can see in the background an arm flexing and the bicep, and then you see a strand of muscle enlarged and blown out, going from the macro to the micro, and then illustrating different parts of the structures as they go out all the way to the micro. And here you can see the myosin, or the thick filament of the muscles, and then the thin filament. And you may notice at the bottom of the screen, we have these three little dots, and these represent, this is one image in a series of three. And if you click on the next one, you'll see a histology slide showing you an electron microscope view of actual muscle strands in the body. So it's nice to see what they really look like and get a better view of that. And if you click on the next circle in the progression, you can see them at even a greater magnification. So I'm going to go back to the menu here. But it gives you an idea of all the content that's included in this. And this is just one of 5 apps that are in the web suite. So you have all this content. We have 100 histology slides. We have numerous 3D models. I'd say hundreds of those as well. And then a lot of illustrations. And we have over 85 animations showing key physiological processes. So I'm going to go down a little further and go to the urinary system. And I think this is another good example of, difficult concepts to understand, but when an animation really plays a big part of helping explain certain things when it comes to anatomy and physiology. And that one is the process of filtration. So this is talking about kidney function and the process of filtration and urine formation and how it cleans the body out of all these toxins. So I'll let you check this one out as well.
Each kidney includes over 1 million blood filtering units called nephrons. Blood enters the nephron through a capillary bed called a glomerulus. It is surrounded by a cup-like structure, the glomerular capsule, which is the beginning of the duct called the renal tubule. As blood flows through the glomerulus, blood pressure forces it against a specialized layer of cells that surrounds the capillaries. The layer of cells blocks blood cells and proteins, but lets waste and water pass through the glomerulus and into the glomerular capsule. The filtrate then flows into the proximal convoluted tubule. This process is called glomerular filtration. It is the first step in urine formation.
So all the content too, I just like to mention, all the content is created by our team of medically trained staff. So we have animators and illustrators that have gone through many, many years of high level of medical education to create this content. And then they team up with our content experts and they team up with our software team. And that's kind of how visible body products are created. I am going to go back to one other section here and go to the special senses. And I think this is a good thing to check out as well. We have, go down to this section. And you can see the process of olfaction or smelling and some of our other microanatomy models of the eye and the ear. But this is another animation that shows how the process of smelling works.
The process of olfaction, or smelling, begins with hair-like cilia that line the nasal cavity. This lining is called the olfactory epithelium. As air enters the nasal cavity, some chemicals in the air bind to and activate nervous system receptors on the cilia. This stimulus sends a signal to the first-order neurons connected to the epithelial cells. The signal is carried by these neurons from the nasal cavity through openings in the ethmoid bone, and then to the olfactory bulbs of the brain. The signals then move from the olfactory bulbs along the olfactory tracts to the olfactory area of the cerebral cortex.
Go back here. So also part of this product, the A&P product, is we have quizzes. So these practice quizzes are really nice because these help students, they can study on the go. So they can do these self-study quizzes on their iPhone or iPad or Android phone or Android tablet, or they can do them online with their computer as well. But you'll notice these are all of the quizzes in this section. And you'll notice some of them have a little cube next to them and some of them don't. So the ones that do not are multiple choice. And the ones that have a little cube next to them are dissection quizzes. So the dissection quizzes are unique to our product. So it forces the student to select a specific piece of the anatomy, identify it, and then submit it. So I'll let you check out, let's try this one together, ear dissection, for instance. So here it tells you it's 1 of 9 questions, and then it's asking you to select any part of the auricle. So the student then has to rotate the 3D model, they have to zoom in, and then they have to select that particular structure. So I do not know what that structure is, so I'm just going to guess something here and click on that, hit submit. Tells me I'm incorrect. So you can move on to the next question, or you can show the answer. If you hit show answer, it'll highlight the structure here, and it's showing you it's the outer ear. And you go on to the next question, the external acoustic meatus. You can click on a structure here, hit submit, got that one right, and go on to the next question. So this is, just several questions, total of 9, and at the end, it would give the student a score. So this is nice for them to study and bone up on anatomy. But this is just one of hundreds of quizzes that are included in anatomy and physiology. And with that being said, I'm going to bounce out of the anatomy and physiology and go to our next product, which is Atlas. And I thought I would show you the Human Anatomy Atlas on a mobile device to give you a better idea of what it looks like. It looks very similar to this. You'll notice we have views and we have a lot of content here. But I'm going to switch out and go to my iPad here and launch Atlas from here. So this Atlas is actually slightly older. You'll have the newer version, which is 2023 on your Web Suite subscription, which you have a lot more content. But this will give you a really good idea of what's included and some of the content anyway, and the features and functionality. So here we have a Views tab. And in the Views tab, you'll notice you can look at things by region or system. So right now I have it selected at system, but if you look at regional views, you can see it's just basically different ways to access different parts of the anatomy. And you go to systems here, which I'll go back to in a moment. We also have a gross anatomy lab. We have cross sections, microanatomy, and muscle actions. And I will touch on all of these shortly. But if you go to the systems view, for instance, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we have the body system listed here. It's skeletal, circulatory, nervous. And then if you just swipe up, and I'm using an iPad, you can see the other systems here. So you can see digestive, urinary, lymphatic, endocrine. And if you swipe left to right, you can also see more views. And each of these little thumbnails represents different views of the body that are just easy, accessible views you can just tap on and launch right into it. And by using one finger, you can rotate and pivot the model on any axis. And if you use 2 fingers, it'll move the model with no rotation. You can just reposition within the frame. And then once you tap on a structure, you'll notice it will identify the structure and give you the name up here. You get the Latin term here. The book icon here will give you a definition. This little stethoscope icon will give you more information on pathologies as it pertains to the system you've selected, which is muscular. The speaker icon will give you a pronunciation. And then this little pin icon is unique to the muscular system. So this is nice because you can tap on that and you can see origin points and insertion points. So you'll notice you have a pin at the top here, and you can zoom in by spreading your fingers and zoom out by pinching your fingers. But if you tap on that pin, it'll tell you exactly what you selected. And then if you tap on this little blue pin, it'll show you where that muscle inserts. You may also notice that the menu has changed since I went into this view. And you can tap on blood supply and see how blood is supplied to the region. If you tap on innervation, you can see the nerves in that region as well. And here you can see the ones highlighted in blue, how they insert and thread through the muscle. And then if you tap on details, you can see all of that content together. So you can see the vasculature, the nerves, as well as the painted skeleton regions of other attachment points for other muscles. And you may notice there's one more icon up here, and this is related content. And if you tap on that, you can see how that particular muscle acts in a state of movement. And so this is a piece of software, so it's not really an animation. I can actually move it as it moves. And zoom in if I'd like. You can also tap structures and fade them to see through them. But it gives you a lot of flexibility, and also a really great way for students to learn and explore and navigate around the human body. I'm going to bounce back to here, but to give you an idea too of some more of the functionality that we offer with Visible Body. So I just tapped on the thumbnail of the skull. You can select a structure here, and again, it tells you all the information over here. But when you get to the bones, you have a new button here called, this one shows you bony landmarks. So if you tap on that, it will isolate that particular structure and then highlight landmarks of the bones here. So you can look at it in 3D. You can select any structure on screen, and you'll notice it'll identify it up here in the menu. Tap on anything, and you can do muscle attachments here. So if you tap on that muscle attachment button, you can see where the muscles attached to that structure. And if you tap on the pins, it will also build out the muscles as you go. It's kind of a neat feature to see. So you can see all of that as well really easily. If I go back here to the skull where we started, you can notice you can also tap on structures and hide them. And then you may notice on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a systems tray. So this systems tray gives you access to the other body systems, which are noted by these different icons over here. So here we have selected the skeletal system, but you'll notice it's only half turned on. It's only half blue. If you tapped it again, you could turn on the entire skeleton, which you can see down here. You can toggle through it and turn it off or turn it back on. So I'm just going to leave it like this for now. But for instance, if I want to hide that structure, I can do that, and I can add other systems too. So I can add arteries and veins, for instance. But again, everything on screen is selectable. So you can zoom in. If you're curious about any structure, you can just tap on that and find out exactly what it is. I'm going to turn that off. We also have a really robust search feature. So you may notice down at the bottom of the screen, there's an anatomy search. So if you want to look for a structure, that's easy to do too. You can just tap on that and type in a term. So for instance, I'm going to type in pancreas, and I just typed in a few letters, and you notice it's already finding all these matches. So if I tap add here, and then I go up on the body a little bit, I can see the pancreas highlighted right here in bright blue. And if I want to isolate this and get rid of, kind of clean up my view on screen, because I got a lot on screen, there's a couple of ways I can do that. I can use the dissect tool here and just tap on structures to hide them and get rid of them that way. Or I can use this little button up here. I'm going to turn this off. But this little button up here will isolate a structure. So if I tap on the pancreas again, then I click on hide others. I actually selected the liver too by accident, but if I tap on the pancreas here, and then I do hide others, I can isolate the pancreas by itself. So if I double tap on that, it'll zoom in, and it'll also make that the axis of rotation. So now I can explore that on its own. I can even hide structures, and I can also, there's a labeling feature too. So if I want to add a label or a tag, just by clicking on this button here, I can do add tag, and it will label the structure in question. You can add another tag. So you can add multiple tags, and they stay tethered. But you can also, if you'd like to create images with blank labels, that's easy to do as well. So there's a little gear icon here at the top. And if I hit blank tags here, at the bottom, and then I click here, you'll notice the labels have now gone away. But if I want to bring them back, I just go back in here. I click on blank tags, and it toggles it and changes it and turns it off. You can also make the background of the viewing a different color. You can change it to black or white or gray. So you can view it in black as well, depending on your preference. So I'm going to go back and put it back into white because I think it shows a little bit better that way. And you can also just turn off these tags. If you get tired of those, you just tap on the X's and they go away. Bring you back out to the main page. So a lot of different ways to access this anatomy in a really easy fashion. Regional views are nice because you can look at some really great views of regional anatomy, like the shoulder. And this is a peeled away view of the shoulder, which is really nice because you have the muscles, the bones, and you also have things like the ligaments here. And these purple structures are the bursa. But again, you can hide your views too. If you want to get rid of, say the muscles are too cluttering things up, you can just get rid of them altogether. I'm going to go back here. We have some cross sections, which are also another useful tool for students that are learning. I will go down. We have 25 cross-sectional views, and we're adding more. But we have 25 right now. But if you select on, I'm going to select on 2, the head. It will pull out a slice model, and I'm going to pinch my fingers to zoom out a little and move it over. And you may notice a new icon appears here, a little gray icon, and that is for an MRI. So you can imagine how useful this is for anybody who's studying and wanting to be maybe a nurse or a doctor or going into any health field. When they see an MRI, it's a lot to digest. So what we've done is tried to make it a little more accessible, and we've highlighted some structures here on the MRI for easy identification. But you can tap any of these pins, and then it'll highlight it on the model here, and then it'll tell you what it is up here in the menu. And again, you can get more information. You can click on the book icon, a speaker icon, and get more detailed information. We also have a different view down here, the cadaver view. And you can also flip this model. So if you want to flip it and look at the other side, you just go to the menu and tap on flip. And then you can look at the other side where you see other structures are identified. And this is one of 2 images. So this is actually 2 of 2. You click this arrow key up here, it'll show you the next asset in the progression, the next slice. It'll put that one back and then pull out the next one. And then you can continue your exploration of the anatomy on this next slice. So really fun, really easy, intuitive way to learn about anatomy, as well as get a better understanding of MRIs. So I've been talking a good bit here. I thought I'd just stop for a second, John, and see if anybody had any questions.
Not at the moment. We've been monitoring the chat, but not at the moment.
Okay.
How about, maybe I can ask a bit questions. How about the students? How can they use the apps themselves? What different platforms can they access? I know we can do the web view. You're showing us tablets.
Yes. Yeah, also works on the phone. So if they have a phone that's an Apple, like an iOS phone or an Android phone, you know, the most common smartphones it works on. So iOS and Android. And it also works on iOS, iPads and Android tablets that are have the proper system requirements.
And how would the institutional access help there? I guess once they log in to the web suite on campus network,
yes,
they can authenticate their mobile device as well, or how does that process work?
Yeah, so they would go to web suites and they would create an account first, and once they create their user account using an email and creating like a password, so creating their own credentials, then they can access that content. They would download, they would get a link to download the mobile version. And the first time they have to be on campus, and then once they download it to their mobile device, they don't have to re-authenticate they have to re-authenticate every 150 days for the mobile.
Okay.
And then for the PC and the Mac, they would be accessing that typically on campus. If the school has a proxy server, they can access the content on their computer off campus as well.
All right, great.
That's a great question, though.
I know you just mentioned, and we've been saying, everybody has to create an account. Is there a reason specifically? What's the benefit for everyone to creating an account?
That's a great question. So the benefit is they can save their own views. So we have a feature. Actually, I will go here to our system view again. So there's a feature where this really benefits students and instructors. And so it allows the instructor or the student to create saved views or saved, I like to call them instances of 3D models. So for instance, I'm going to click on this one here of the brain. And let's say, for instance, if you're a student and you want to study, I think saving all these views can be very useful for you to, refer to at a later time. But if you're a teacher, I think the beauty of it is, say, perhaps, the day before you want to go in and give a lecture on, the next day you want to give a lecture on the nervous system. You might want to have some saved views of the brain and some of that anatomy, but you want to really highlight specific features or structures. So I'm going to tap on dissect and hide some structures here. And then maybe you want to add a few things, like maybe you want to add the skull, but you want to have this part removed. And you want to maybe have this structure here labeled with a tag. And so here I have it, the ear cartilage I've highlighted basically. So let's say, for instance, that is a structure that you want to save because you're going to talk about it in class. And this is just one of several you want to save. All you do is click down here, you click Save the View. You give it a name. I'm going to just call it ear. And then you hit done, and then you hit save, and then you'll notice down here it'll say ear has been saved. So what you do then is go back to your library. You see up top, and once you go to my library, you can see it. I have a lot of images in my library, so you can see all of these. But here you can see the one I created, number 64, called ear. So you can tap on that, and there it is in 3D that you can access. So that's really a good question, because this gives you a library of contents that you can create and have accessible, really quickly and really easily.
For instance, an instructor could create a library around a specific course or a lecture, and a student can do that for exam that they're studying or anything like that.
Exactly right. Okay. We also have a flashcard feature where we include flashcards, which are obviously great for studying. We have digital flashcards, and students can create their own or use ones that we already have, or they can share them and exchange them. Another nice feature with the library, as I showed you, we just saved that one image, the ear. If you want to create a progression of images, so I created a progression up here of the accessory organs. You can also string them together to create what we call a tour. And so a tour is created by just tapping on the word tour here. And then here you have instructions. Tours are created by linking together some of your favorite views, and you'll need at least 2 favorites. So you need more than one image to create a tour. And so to start that, you just tap on Start, and then you just tap on the ones you want, and you tap on them in the order you want. So you can tap on them in any order. And then you hit save, and then you name it. And I'm not going to do that right now because I already have created one up here. You hit save, and you give it a name, and then it's created. So I created one called digestive organs here. This will give you an idea of some of the 3D instances of models that I string together. So it is one of 6 images. And just by tapping on this arrow, you can kind of go through the progression. And you can also move these and explore these. So I did a cutaway of the liver, and I labeled the hepatic portal. And then the next one here gives you a view of the gallbladder with a label, and so on. So I'm just kind of pivoting the model set around and showcasing the different parts of the accessory organs and some of the organs in that region, like the renal capsule. And here I have the spleen highlighted, and then the pancreas. And you tap the arrow, so then I'm at the end, and then I go back to the beginning. But you can imagine how useful creating a tour like that. If you wanted to do it on, I did the digestive organs, you could do it on, you know, pulmonary, cardio, whatever you want, and just have it ready to go for the next day. Or for stuff.
And that's basically the whole thing. The tour itself can be shared, as well as your note cards that you created or the flashcards, anything that you save as the group can be shared.
Exactly. That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. All this stuff can be shared. So if you're the teacher or if you're the student, you can create a saved view or create a full tour or create flashcards, and you can share these with your fellow students, with your teacher. I know we have some universities and colleges where the instructor will tell the students to break up into groups and create their own tours or their own flashcards on different systems. So one group will do, you know, the cardiovascular system. One will do the digestive organs. One will do the pulmonary structures. And then each group will create their content and then share it. So you can just do it. We have a share feature or an email feature. And if you do an email, you would just basically send this link. And then once, I'm going to cancel this and delete this. Once you receive the link, you just go up here to the top of the screen where that little link, the little chain is, and you would paste the link in here. So you do a copy and paste, or I'm sorry, you paste the link right into here, and then you hit launch, and it would launch that exact view that they shared with you.
That's great.
So, yeah, just really a cool feature and a great way to excite students about learning and make it more accessible.
Speeds up the process. They don't waste time in the classroom or or at home.
Exactly right.
Okay.
The other thing I like to show is some of our microanatomy, and then I'll show everyone the augmented reality, because I know people really like the augmented reality. So the microanatomy includes views of all these smaller organs, and again, you know, focusing kind of on the kidney again. You have a cutout of the kidney or the nephron. If you zoom in, you can see these tiny parts of the kidney, like the glomerular capsule, which we saw in animation before on the urine formation. You may notice related content pops up here, and here you can see that animation again. So if you tap on that and want to get, you know, a review of that, you could do that. Or if you want to drill down even further, we have this other model here. I can tap on that, and then you can look at isolated views of the structures here. So a nice way to study. We have a cutaway of the intestine as well, showing, you know, the different layers that comprise the intestine. And you can tap on the structure here. You can look at the different views. You can zoom in with great detail. And here you have related content, and the related content is showing you the inner lining, what that looks like of the intestine, the villi. So again, this is a model of the little finger-like structures inside of the intestine that absorb the nutrients in the food. But again, all of this content is selectable. You can tap on any of these, and then if you wanted to, you know, get a better understanding of how they work in action, you could click on this thumbnail up here and click on this animation. This animation shows the digestive process. And this does have a narrative. I do have it turned off right now just because of the way I have my iPad and my computer configured. But you can see the closed captioning down here. And that's basically what the narrator is saying. And I apologize if the animation is a little choppy. That is caused by, if that's happening, is caused by our web connection. Just want to assure you it's a very smooth and thorough animation. But again, most of the animations we offer are really concise, really about 30 to 60 seconds in length. That was a short one. But you go back out here, and we have a section that includes media, which is animations and illustrations. We have a quiz section as well. The library you saw. We have a section called muscle actions, and this shows a lot of movement. So this shows, we have about 50 of these, I believe, showing different parts of the body and how the muscles and bones move together. We have, for instance, like the neck bend here. You can move around and explore. You can tap on structures. And then if I bounce out to the main menu again by these 4 squares, I'll show the gross anatomy lab and then some augmented reality. So the gross anatomy lab, I think, is a really cool feature, and augmented reality pairs nicely with the gross anatomy lab. Our augmented reality also works in regions and systems, as well as muscle actions. We don't have augmented reality for these two. We just didn't think it was applicable for cross sections or microanatomy. We thought the best use of augmented reality was in the other areas. And, you know, it really came to life or came to light during the pandemic when cadaver labs were shut down and we could not, people were not meeting in person. And so we thought, you know, hey, this is where augmented reality really comes into play and can be useful. So when people can't meet in person, I mean, I think nothing really replaces a cadaver lab, but when it comes to augmented reality, I think this is really the next best thing. So here you've noticed I pivoted the model to an optimal view, and you can also change the view from prone or to prone from supine or to supine. And then you may notice a button down here, AR. So augmented reality only works on mobile devices because it leverages the camera feature in the, so it works on the phone or the tablet, but it needs to leverage that camera feature. So once you tap the AR button, I'm going to stand up here, and it will scan your environment. And once it scans your environment and you see that yellow box, you just tap on that and it puts a body in your environment. So you can walk around it as if it was actually in the room with you, and you can look at it from any angle. You can look at it from the side. So I'm just using my iPad kind of as a portal right now, and you can walk around and you can even select structures by tapping on them. You obviously have the labeling feature. You have all the features that are available here. I'm going to turn off. Oh, I see what I did. I tapped on the. Let's go back to here. There it is. I tapped on one of the other features. But here, so basically you can enlarge them a little bit if you want. And you can also push in on the rib cage and go inside structures. So if you go inside here, you can see the lung. If you push in and go a little further, you can see the pericardium, which is the sac that surrounds the heart. If you go a little further, you can go in and see the inner chambers of the heart. So just a fun, engaging way for students to learn. You can come back out. You can also do the same thing for the skull. And go inside and see the brain. And again, everything on screen is selectable. So you can tap on any of these structures while you're inside, or then you can also come back out. And one of the nice features that we offer at Visible Body is we want to make the learning experience fun and engaging for students, but we also want to offer a good value for your purchase. And so we offer a lot of content with your subscription. And one of the things we offer, I'm going to move this model over here. One of the things we offer are augmented reality lab activities. And you may see these pages back here. And these are just printouts. And I'm going to turn them over right now. And these are just PDFs that you can print out. And you can use them in color or black and white. You may notice once I hover over it, a blue arrow appears. And if I tap on that blue arrow, it will launch a model seemingly out of the page of the heart. And you can enlarge this and explore, but this is a lab activity for students. So what they're asked to do here is label these structures. So you have all these blank callouts, and the students' activity is to label these structures. So to do that, they would just tap on a structure here, find out it's the right atrium, and then they would fill this page out while they explore the other structures. And so the next lab activity is the accessory organs. And again, once you see that blue arrow, you just tap on that, and it'll launch that right out of the page. And you can make it a little bit bigger. I know we have some instructors that like to have students break up into groups and do an overlay, have a student stand behind this and the other student reposition this to get a better idea of where the liver and the stomach fit on somebody's body, which is kind of cool. And this is obviously another lab activity where they fill out the call outs. And then this one, let's have that one upside down. This one is our exploding skull. And if I tap on that, it will launch it right out of the page. And this one has some movement. So you can see how all the bones of the skull fit together. And you can tap on like the one in the middle, like the sphenoid. Pivot your view and see how all these other structures, all the sutures in the skull, and all these bones fit around that. You can even pause it and look at it from varying angles. Hit play again, and you can see how they all fit together. I'm going to turn that off for a moment. Did my connection, it looks like my connection may have cut out.
No, I mean, we still have the screen now. Right now we're back to your computer, but.
Okay. Were you able to see the exploding skull or not?
That might have cut off, but prior to that, we had everything. We had everything on the AR side. That was a great demo.
Okay, good. Okay. So just to kind of continue on that path, to give you an idea of what we have, a number of universities are doing. They are using augmented reality. The instructors are using it for activities in the classroom. And so we have different ways to use it. And this is some experiments that we did in our office with our staff using a tablet to record augmented reality. Augmented reality, obviously, here next to a staff member's hand. So we recorded this on an iPad. You hit play, you can get a better idea of what we did here. And so we did one of the hands. We did a head turn here, which I think is kind of interesting. We also did a shoulder. So again, these could be overlaid or side by side. We did these side by side just to kind of demonstrate the movement. And then turning that one off, we also did some overlays with images, still images. So this one shows somebody's foot and ankle region with the overlay of the augmented reality on that. We did an arm extension as well. And the lower leg as well, which I think is really nice because here you can see how the knee aligns, the ankle aligns, and the foot. Gives you a lot of content and easy and fun to do for the students. So I know we're kind of pressing up on the end of our time. And since we have a little bit of time left, John, I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions or anything else they'd like to see in particular.
Not at the moment. The chat is clear. Not from my end as well. I asked my questions. Thank you for the demonstration. I think this was great.
Of course, thank you. And so I do want to just emphasize one thing is, I only showed today the Human Anatomy Atlas out of WebSuite and the A&P product. So I really didn't even touch on Muscle Premium, which has a lot of great content. Physiology Animations is a big library of animations. And I didn't touch on biology either. So it is really a great value for your purchase, your subscription. But if you do have more questions, I would recommend you reach out to your online Bilgi rep, and they can contact me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or also organize or arrange a free trial for any clients that do not have one yet.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Herkese çok teşekkür ederiz bugün de katıldığınız için. İlk başta bahsettiğimiz gibi kaydımız alınıyor. herkesle kayıt oldukları e-posta üzerinden en geç yarın paylaşılacak. Eğer sorunuz yoksa webinarı burada sonlandıracağız. Tekrar katıldığınız için çok teşekkürler. Herkese iyi akşamlar. Rob, I think with that we can close.
Very good. I just want to thank you again, John, for you and the Online Biology
No worries.
team for organizing this, and everybody else for joining. Thank you so much.
And Rob, once you get a chance, if you could send that recording over,
Yes.
so we can. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Hüseyin Bey, there was just a question. Hüseyin Bey, eğer ilişkili olduğunuz eğitim kurumu, üniversite, deneme açılanlar arasındaysa kampüs ağı üzerinden WebSuite, şu an tarayıcıda gördüğünüz adres üzerinden websuite.visiblebody.com'dan bir hesap açarak ücretsiz erişim sağlayabilirsiniz. Deneme erişimi olup olmadığını da öğrenmek için kütüphanenizle görüşmenizi tavsiye ederiz. Onlar tarafından size doğru bilgi verilecektir. Umarım açıklayıcı olmuştur. Biz teşekkür ederiz. All right, it was just a question regarding how to access, but it's okay. So
Okay.
I think we can close.
Okay. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining me today and taking time out of your schedule. And John, if you have any follow-ups from the team, let me know, and I'd be happy to answer them or organize access.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.